Mahalo day, everyone. This is another live digital cover session coming to you guys all. I am Mr. Aotearoa coming straight from Aotearoa. Just another day, another dollar on this Thursday evening on this side of the world. Dua, how you doing?
Doing good. It's been a busy week. Been a busy couple weeks. So
Mm,
I know we've a little bit slacked a little bit on our lives. We've got some messages and comments from some of our viewers and listeners saying, "Hey, are the live digital kava sessions
mm.
now only for the paying members of the channel? Like, what's going on?" So letting you guys know, no, it's just been busy with the
Just life
holidays
catching
and
up.
travel. And
Eh.
so, yeah, and we're taking the opportunity now. We usually do our live sessions on Thursdays ish, like, right? Usually
Mm-hmm.
Thursdays. But I'll be traveling the latter half of the week. So I thought, hey, we'll sneak it in today. But things are going great. I appreciate it, Mr. Atearoa. And Las Vegas, Sin City is still here. God hasn't wiped us off the map yet. So we'll
Ooh,
keep
Viva
chugging
Las
along.
Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Keep it going. Keep the lights going. No, nice. And I just want to let all our viewers know that on the Polynesian Ice podcast, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Patreon, X, and Instagram. So you guys can catch us on those platforms, and we've got exciting topics that we can all discuss and share, and also we will if anyone puts up comments and stuff and it's kind of we have time to put it up, we'll also show it up on the screen. But yeah, that's kind of what we've got today. Tua, anything else, Tua, before we kind of get
Yes,
into the discussions?
just a quick housekeeping. Once again, if you want to throw in a digital kava bag, use the super
Oh
chats
yeah,
and the
yeah,
super
yeah.
thanks. We make an effort that if you do have a super chat in the comments, we pull it up. And also, if you want to contribute through becoming a paying member of the channel, we have a handful of paying members that we greatly appreciate. As a paying member, one of the benefits of being a paid member is if you make a comment, because you get the icon next to your name as a paying member on YouTube, we make an effort to bring your comments on and answer questions there. But that's another great way to contribute to the program here. And as always, like, subscribe, share, comment. It goes a very long way. We are inching closer to 1 million views on
Oh
YouTube.
oh
Yes. So
oh
every comment, every share goes a really long way. And you know, the activity on social media has been off the charts. So as we always say, we have the best viewers and listeners. So we really
yes, sir.
appreciate it, all that support. So feel free to contribute in that way. We'll jump in. We're going to bring up the banner here. Talk a little bit about the new prime minister from Tonga, Mr. Aotearoa. What's kind of what you heard
Ooh.
since you're close to the kingdom? What's kind of the situation? It boiled down to two candidates, and the cabinet has made a selection. So Parliament has made a selection. But what's kind of the rundown on that, Mr. Aotearoa?
So we'll just go with the two candidates that were nominated was Aisake Eke, the current PM, and the other nominated person was the nobleman Fafanua. Those two were presented, and they have the election just amongst the parliament members inside the parliament building that was held Monday, I believe. And right now, I think Lord Falafanua is a designate. He has the designate title of prime minister, and I think he's just waiting upon the king to endorse. And I think he will be the new prime minister starting, I think, early next year. So he was voted unanimously, pretty much unanimously, because he had about 16. You only need 14 to become prime minister, and then Isaac Eke only had 10. So it was a pretty, unanimous decision for the noblemen and the people's representative. And yeah, that's kind of how it played out. And he's, to my understanding, he's relatively young, I guess, compared to the other representatives currently in parliament. He's only 40. He's your age, Tua. So um, yeah. So I mean, he seems like he has the ability to navigate Tonga to probably better outcomes. That's what everyone's hoping for, and that's what everyone is putting their trust in him. And hopefully, he will lead us to better prosperity. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that's kind of the whole summary of kind of what's leading up to this point, Dua. But
Mm.
what are your thoughts and maybe some details of your maybe understanding of this PM, and maybe what and project what you think he can probably do for the kingdom of Tonga, and not only for the kingdom, but maybe for like all of Polynesia, probably uh,
Yeah.
that he
What
can do.
I've just you know, I'm just it's interesting. We're getting older. We're getting older, right? And uh the new PM and the nobleman Whakafanua, we went to the same elementary school in Tonga. So he obviously he once he got the title, he goes by Whakafanua, but I always remember him as Kinikini, right?
Mm,
Kinikinlao and Kinikini. We used to call him Kinikini. And it's just interesting to see now classmates slash same age group. We're not getting any younger, getting involved. My initial thought on him, obviously, I think around fifth or sixth grade, I think it was sixth grade, he
mhm,
went overseas, I think to New Zealand, probably for his education.
mm,
Um, so I don't know him too well. I ran into him once in Tonga, I think 2015
mm,
at I think it's called Luna Rosa restaurant. We were out there and he was there. Just kind of
mm,
shook his hand. He doesn't know if he remembers me or not, but I remember him. What I observe of him, he is a very, very thoughtful speaker. Like he was the speaker of the house for a very long time.
yeah.
Um, and in the interviews I've seen him give, he's very measured and he's very thoughtful. He's not reckless, right?
Mm,
So I think despite being young, he's going to bring a lot of maturity. Obviously,
yeah.
we've
Mm,
we've seen the UFC and the yelling and so forth from the quote unquote older, right? Older members
mm,
of parliament and ministers. So I think he's going to bring some stability and a level of civility. A
mhm,
lot of his speech was about unity and coming together and making decisions for a brighter future for Tonga. So I'm interested to see it, to see what kind of leadership and structure he brings. But that's kind of my initial thoughts. I want to kind of listen to some of the videos, the
yeah.
initial interviews that he's had shortly after being voted in. And as you said, Masi, pretty convincing win considering
Mm,
he got a few more votes than needed, and especially because he is from the noble class. There's a lot of this perceived resistance, and I don't think it's necessarily the people in Tonga. I think it's more projection from the people outside of Tonga trying to perceive
mhm,
that there's this huge tension between
yeah.
the nobility and the average Tongan citizen. Um, but that's what we'll kind of let me pull that up here. Anything you want to bring up, Masi, while I pull this up?
Um, no, I probably have to agree with you on that. There is probably false projection from the mainstream media, as because there has been a lot of headlines saying that that nobleman has gone back to power, and all this kind of stuff, and the people are not getting represented. But I think it's a false narrative to project out there. So you know Tonga is pretty peaceful, and in cohesive with the responsibility of the average Tongan citizen and the uh, noble class. You know.
Not 100%. And one of the big reasons for it, and I think people forget that though you don't have a noble title, but a lot of people are related to the nobles and to the
Yeah.
family, to the king. So
Yeah.
this is, in many ways, this is a family affair. They make it
Yeah.
sound like it's some small elite class that are the noblemen. It's
Yeah.
like, no, there are cousins upon cousins
Correct.
within, even from the noble class to the quote unquote commoners. But this is one of
Yeah.
his first interviews that he did, and we'll do a couple of them.
Congratulations, Lord Fafanua, becoming the Prime Minister designate for the Kingdom of Tonga. 16 votes from your fellow representatives. How does it feel?
I'm just very grateful that I had the opportunity to run as a candidate, and today, very happy that I have uh, the votes from the House, and I look forward to implementing a lot of the vision and work that we have in store for Tonga.
You mentioned on your speech to give you some time to make your way to His Majesty to ascend to you personally. Do we have any time frame of that happening?
No, this is my first time, Lala, so I'll have to look into what the next steps are, but I'm sure we want to confirm everything before Christmas.
I know you've been thinking about the nominations, Prime Minister, and today, is there any thoughts? I know you can't give anything away when it comes to cabinet, but have you had any thoughts towards a cabinet ministers?
Look, Lala, it's no secret that I've always been advocating for a cabinet of unity, and I want to bring together the best cabinet out of all 26 members, regardless of if they voted for me or not. I think Tonga deserves that, and I think that would pave the way for a much more stable government in the future.
Thank you very much, Lord Fafanua. Any words for the public, for Tonga, as the new Prime Minister designate for the Kingdom of Tonga for the next 4 years?
I just want to thank those in the public who have given me their support. And for all of Tonga, I just want to commit to them that I will do my best to serve the people and bring them what they deserve from the government of Tonga.
Thank you very much.
Malo pito.
We all have more feeling.
Interesting thoughts, Mr. Atero.
Uh, yeah, I think it's good. I think it's what I got of that interview. He's willing to um pick the best, regardless if they voted for him or not, or if they were in opposition. Um, I'm just hoping that that does go well, and I hopefully these 4 years can be very smooth. That there'll be a no vote of was it vote no vote of confidence every election term. So it's good. I hope he picks the best for each person just within there, and I also hope that he's able to I think you're allowed three, maybe get some people if there are those outside of the parliament that have expertise in certain areas that can be utilized that he can also bring in and not be so let's just say um have the rope tied behind his back that he has to pick somebody that voted for him. So I hope he just picks he has the freedom, and that's what it looks like, has the freedom to pick the best person instead of the giving them certain ministerial responsibility because they voted for you. So that's what I'm seeing here, and it looks like he's gonna do the right decisions to put the people. And I think that's the biggest thing, right, is when you're CEO and everything, a lot of it is just picking the right person to put in that position so they can flourish and give them the the trust and confidence that they can do their job. So that's the big task in front of him, and I hope it goes well for the sake of the people in the Kingdom of Tonga and the Tongans throughout the world. So yeah, that's my thoughts there, Tua. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, the thing that came to mind was he and the king today he's what, a nephew slash second cousin with the king. I
Mm,
think his grandfather and the king's father are siblings. So that's Perehake, I believe, if I remember correctly. His
mm,
grandfather is Tupo the Fourth's younger brother,
mm,
and
mm.
so I think um, so he has some Tuiha Takalawa blood coming through him because obviously uh, his father and Tupo the Fourth's father is the heir of the Tungi title. So I thought
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting that you have the heir, basically heir apparent for the Tungi title
So
bloodline,
yes,
and also the prime minister.
so his grandfather is the younger brother of Tupo the Fourth, right? His
Correct.
grandfather,
That's what I
and then
understand.
yes, I agree with you there. And then to the Tui Perehake, which is the title of the younger brother of Tupo the Fourth. He has a daughter, which is his mother that marries into the Falafanua,
Fafanua.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, and that's kind of how it goes, just for the
That's how it
ties there.
goes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I find that a little interesting when we just look
Mm,
at it from a historical perspective. I'm looking forward to it. I think, to be honest, I was tired, exhausted from the last couple uh, governments. It
yeah.
not only was it chaotic, but it was embarrassing in many ways.
Yeah.
Even as a I'm a big Tonga High School fan, but I was kind of disappointed with the Sovaleni government and the high
Yeah.
number of Tonga High School students that were put in there to see it kind of go backwards from who was the guy before Sovaleni? It was the
Tuyo Nitoa.
Tuyo Netoa.
Yeah.
I felt that Tuyo Netoa's momentum at the end of his government, at least there was forward progress on the infrastructure at the
Mm,
local level, right?
mm,
I'm a big believer
yeah.
in that. You gotta improve the daily lives of people out in the villages and the infrastructure, the roads, fishery type infrastructure that impacts the daily lives and allows people to multiply their labor and their productivity. So I really like that. So it was disappointing to see the Sovaleni government, which just really nothing happened.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, the votes of no confidence, then a short term Isake's government, I feel, was somewhat productive, but they didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so it would have been nice to have Isake have some continuity because it
Mm,
seemed like he was making some things happen. But
mm,
there's some new blood being injected, hopefully, some new ideas, hopefully, positive things can come out of it. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful,
yeah.
but time will tell. I think it really boils down to what you said, Masi, is how good of a team he can put together, right?
Yeah.
And then drive the vision because we've been lacking the vision in Tonga for a little bit, and hopefully we can get back on track. But that seems to be my hopes and ambitions for that. But just thought this is, and we promise everyone we're building towards something here. So we're not just
Mm.
talking about the PM and the politics, but we're going to build towards a very interesting topic,
And
or an
perspective.
idea
Yeah.
and perspective
Mm.
on this. In anything else you want to add to that, Mr. Atero?
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I just hope maybe it is to have this person, a nobleman, be in charge is probably a good thing because I do hope he's able to maybe for a long time go through a government without no vote was it no vote of confidence. So because that takes up a lot of time,
Mhm.
resources, instead of that can create turmoil just internally if you keep having those things, and that's what Tonga has been having with people representatives for quite a few government terms. So I just hope for Fanua, you can hopefully improve government services to the people within the kingdom and the diaspora. because that's been huge lacking. So hopefully those things can improve. You know,
Absolutely.
drive drive that.
Awesome. So we want to pivot. It's still going to be related. The next topic that we're going to kind of walk through, it's still related to this new government, this new PM, and it is the foreign perspective on democracy, what democracy looks like, what Tonga is doing right or wrong, and it's a New Zealand article here, and it says, "What does the election of Tonga's new noble PM mean for democracy?" I just find this hilarious, Masi,
Hmm.
because what is democracy? The people vote, they have
Yeah,
representatives, and the representatives make
vote.
decisions and choices on behalf of the people that voted for them, right? So here we are, democracy was executed, and then what's the title here? What does the new noble PM mean for democracy? That's like contradictory. It's like we executed democracy, and now because we executed democracy, we're now concerned about democracy. Really doesn't make sense to me. Basi, any thoughts on that before we dive in? I'll read through the article, but any kind of thoughts on the title here right off the bat?
No, it's just more of this colonization mentality. I think some of, especially countries like New Zealand and Australia that really trying to make Tonga more democracy, to make it more like them. That's what I'm thinking, Tua. There's this agenda underneath, and there's this certain I don't know, it's because they can't control Tonga always being independent throughout our history, that they've always had this agenda. The more because like I've said, Tua, I think I mentioned it before, the more democracy you have and become, indigenous people don't do well when the more democracy you have. I mean, in a government, like I said, because democracy, the moral principles in democracy you have, is indigenous people don't do well, because you allow the indigenous or the native people and non-native to have the same equal rights. Then you
They get
allow
pushed
open
out.
borders. Yes, democracy encourages migration. it encourages it encourages, and when you have migration with Tonga so small, you're going to be overrun. And it involves, like, it really emphasizes a lot on the economic, like making it very important. So when you drive economic interest, you're going to need more labor, you're going to need a lot of other things, which Tonga needs to. It's more, I always go with the gradual approach, right? And there's some limitation because Tonga is very unique, and those things that drive the economic activities can really hurt indigenous people. And that's a democracy thing, because I always look at London, which is drive that emphasize economic activity over everything else. And then now the Indians have more real estate than the Englishmen inside of London. And that's
Yes.
crazy. You know, we've talked about it before. So to me, we've the democracy principles are important, and that's what helps include everyone, which I feel like is the important aspect of democracy. We've had open and honest elections, and then we've elected our representatives, and then the representatives have the freedom to choose their prime minister. And I feel like that's an important aspect of having democracy in Tonga, and we need to leave it as is. But looks like some of these other countries don't feel like when democracy is on their side, they don't like it, and then they have create these narratives. And it's the same reason why people are moving away from getting their information from mainstream media, because um, there's this certain disgust about mainstream media, that they have this certain agenda that is projecting instead of getting all views onto the table and letting people decide. But you know, it's democracy is still there, and election has been in Tonga since the beginning. The only difference is they've just upped the increase of, since 2010, the increase of people representatives, and people deciding who's going to be their prime minister. So I don't know what else they want me. Like I said, do they want Tonga to be like another United Kingdom? of how they run democracy. So that's, I don't know. That's just my thoughts there. Um, but
No,
yeah,
that's a fair thing to bring to the table, right? If you have a democracy and you open it up, then you are at risk of losing the indigenous control,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
that's a fair point,
Hmm.
right? And I think that's something that definitely needs to be considered and kept in mind. What I think is funny here is two things. You notice that the people who say they want democracy are never really happy with whatever concessions they get in democracy, right? There was,
Mm.
oh, if we just have the king not pick the PM, we will have democracy, right?
Yeah,
Then it's given that. Then the people vote for their representatives and they vote for a noble. Oh, that's not democracy. You see how the goalposts always move? Always move. The goalpost is always moving.
yeah.
And really, when I see that type of behavior, these are not solution oriented people. These are people who are really good at pointing to problems, and that's an
Mm.
easy job to do. That's not a
Yeah,
difficult thing to do. To sit around
yeah,
and complain, that's
yeah.
easy. But to say, "Hey, I'm gonna provide a solution that doesn't blame some kind of flawed structure," that's the leadership that I think Tonga needs, and that may have been part of the problems in the past. Is people have always been blaming others for why things haven't moved forward. And
Mm.
so that's something that I think is really interesting. I really want to pull this up here and scroll down because it talks about the same thing about, wasting of the taxpayer money to lift people out of poverty and what's happened. I would love to, what I really want to focus on. Let me see. I'm going to start reading from this portion right here. And it says former political advisor Lopeti Centuri said while he
Mhm.
believed Rafanua had performed well as speaker, he feared that a noble as prime minister signaled a shift in power back to the monarchy. What I'm worried about is that the reassertion of the nobility and the king's control of government. The political reform that we adopted in 2010 was the relocation of what was called executive authority that was transferred from the absolute authority of the king to shared executive authority between the king and the elected prime minister.
What?
Centur-
That's
yes. What are your thoughts on that?
no, no, no. I don't know what he's saying. That it was just made as an election process. That's all it was. I don't know what it means. So he's trying to say maybe no noblemen should have any part in the process. That's what I'm thinking. Because I mean, all the noblemen's are gonna have to be part of it because and this is the thing a lot of people don't know. The the Tongan constitution stipulates that the noblemen have to have a part in the parliament. So
Mhm.
I don't know what he's trying. I don't know. I don't really get what he's trying to say. To be honest, maybe he's really trying to say just get rid of the noblemen and should be all people's representative. That's what he's just giving his thoughts here. But I think the underneath issue that he really wants solved is seems like he doesn't want any noblemen to have any part. I don't know. I'm just
See,
reading between
that's
the lines.
Mushy. That's the part that he's basically saying without saying it. Because
Eo,
basically
Eo.
saying is we can never have a noble as a PM.
Yeah,
If we have a noble as a PM, they say, well,
that's too
that's not
close. That's too
democracy.
close.
Everything's falling
That's
apart.
that's an arm of the king, and that's too close to the king. That's what he's trying
Yeah.
to say. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
That
So
makes
that's
sense.
what I'm saying. Like there comes a point where you just have to say what you really mean.
Oh no,
So,
and I was gonna say to, and I think maybe the viewers gotta understand this of how the Constitution works. The Constitution trumps any law or even keeps the laws in Tonga as it is. So he if he's saying for the noble people or the king not to have any part, that means he's desecrating the Tongan constitution that's been there from the beginning and saved us from colonization. Because
Yeah.
all these principles that's been added to improve inclusivity of having people and noblemen and the king all working together is based on the constitution, and the constitution is the supreme law of the land. So if he has any questions, then he needs to talk about the Tongan constitution, because that's what's setting the foundation of everything. All of these other things that we've done is like, well, they always say mono mono be. It's all little things to help improve the system, but
No,
The
see, and
Tonga's
that's the thing.
constitution, and I don't think the viewers and the even the this guy here is being very subtle with, like what he said. He has an actual belief that he wants to get rid of, but he's very subtle on how he's going about it. But the truth is, he just doesn't want them to be part of it. But if he's saying that, then he's saying that we need to get rid of or change the whole Tongan constitution, which has saved us and brought us this far. And I don't think anyone is inclined to do that. I don't know. That's just my thoughts there.
No, and
That's my thoughts
that
there.
was what I was referring to, Mussy, when it's never enough,
Mm,
right? So let's say we only elect non-noblemen. They're going to find something else, and they're going to find something else. This always, when you pull on that string long enough, Mussy, where does it end up? Exactly where you said.
mm,
Alupe Taimia, they're going to say, oh, we need a new constitution. We need a new blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. They're they're leading towards chaos. That's what
Mm,
they want. They won't say it. They may not even know it. This guy may not even know it, but what he's asking for is chaos.
mm,
Because what the Constitution and the involvement of the nobility and the king to this day has been order, structure, peace, right? Like that's what this has produced. And they're coming in and saying, we got to get rid of all of that. Because when you
yeah.
really think about what they're saying, that's what they're saying. They're going to go, they'll never be satisfied until you just throw out the whole system and come up with something new. And whenever you do that, 99% of the time, there's chaos, there's disorder, there is crime, and worse, it gets even to the point where lives are lost,
Mm,
right? So
mm,
this is they're all doing it in the name of democracy and quote
yeah.
unquote for the people. And I think it's a very, very deceiving way to go about it, you know. So
Mm,
let me kind of read here a little bit more.
okay.
And I'm gonna skip. So he kind of talks about you know, the nobility and so forth, but also remember the first PM after the power was given to Parliament to pick the PM was a nobleman,
Yes. Tuivagano.
right?
That's right.
Tuivagano.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting. I'm gonna read here because this is hilarious. Desa Pohiva, another classmate of mine. So classmate with the new PM Whakafanua, and then this is Desa Pohiva, my other classmate, but that's from Tonga High School. I
Yeah.
didn't go
Yeah.
to elementary school with her, but she's also, it says here, Desa Pohiva, daughter of the late pro-democracy leader and former Prime Minister Akilisi Pohiva, went a step further and said the outcome of the vote was a sad day for Tonga's democratic reforms. In a post on Facebook, she highlighted the disparity between the election process for nobles representatives like Whakafanua and the people's representatives. Both voting processes take place on polling day. However, only nobles vote towards the nine nobles representatives, resulting in a far smaller voting pool. New Prime Minister elect Whakafanua, elected by 3 people into parliament and elected by 16 parliamentarians to Prime Minister, Pohiva wrote. She also pointed out the close links between Whakafanua and King Tupo VI. Whakafanua is a member of Tonga's royal family through his mother, who is the granddaughter of the beloved Queen Salote. He has noble lineage through his father, who held the Whakafanua title before him. his sister is also married to Crown Prince Tupouto'a. Oh, I didn't know that that was his sister.
Mm,
However, despite the criticisms, Whakafanua remains focused on the next steps. Once again, first it was, we just need more representatives. Okay, more representatives. Oh, the king shouldn't get to pick the PM. Let us pick the PM. And then
mm,
once they pick the PM, it's like, I appreciate Tatesa. I mean, she's a great person. I know her. She's a reasonable person in person,
yeah.
but I
She's
couldn't
a
think
good.
more differently than her on this, right?
Mm,
Because what I heard her father say is, we just need more democratic reforms. Well, we got the democratic reforms.
yeah.
Oh, we're once we got that, then all of a sudden democracy does its job, and then when we're unhappy with the result of democracy, we just say it's not democracy. It reminds me of the Democrats, right? Whenever you vote for the Democrats, democracy is great. When you don't vote for the Democrats, democracy is not working. It's actually at risk, and there's always an excuse. And I feel the same thing here. This is just an excuse, and there's always going to be a problem. And to me, that's not a winning mentality. That's a losing mentality. So I I disregard all of the Desa and Hey Moody guys comments.
Yeah.
Just noise in the background.
Yeah.
Democracy has
Well,
done its job in Tonga.
yes. And that's the thing, right? I don't know, like the thing is, the whole process, Fa'afonua only can be prime minister if he had he won unanimously, so he had to have maybe 6 or 7 people's representative members vote for him. So why, the people who did this article, instead of doing lazy journalism, maybe try to interview people representative, because they're most likely voted for the PM, and ask their thoughts of why they chose it. I mean, like, that's the thing. The people's representatives determine who
Who will
becomes
be
prime
PM?
minister.
If they
Yes.
all win
So
against the nobles, they would have
yeah,
their PM.
they win all the time, and like I said, it's a exhaustion, like what you said, Tua. The past few governments that have came by, people and the parliamentarians, they're all tired of the infighting and stuff. They wanted some fresh face, new blood, and the best thing to do that is give opportunity for a noble and let it run its course. And then, like I always find, that was Akarishi's strong point. It was very just critiquing and criticism. But then when he had an opportunity to lead, it really went nowhere. There was a lot of corruption and issues that happened during his time, and you know, then when you put the lines, then Desa Pohiva is a daughter. It's just continuing that same thing. Good at critiquing and all these things, but um because they're no longer in power. And then once her father had the chance to do Tonga better, people just rejected it, and they chose something else. And even if you look now, um, Tonga hasn't really elected a lot of the pro democracy or full
Ever since they
democracy
had power.
candidates. Yeah,
Ever
ever
since
since
they
they've
had
had power.
power, they lost power and they've been fragmented ever since.
Because they like I said, they just wanted power for themselves. It was not about having better governance. It was all about having more power for themselves. That's all it was.
Yeah, and I think this is the reason why, and we're gonna build towards an observation here, but this is why, as Tongans, as Polynesians, we have to understand who we are as a people, what makes us unique, what makes us different, and don't just fall for these ideas that are coming from overseas and from the West. We're not
Yeah,
saying that totally disregard them, but you have to take them in their context and understand, does this really make sense for us? Right? Are we New Zealand? Right? Are we America? Should we be 100% um, materialistic, 100%, uh, democratic? Does that something that makes sense?
yeah,
And we
yeah.
have to be very thoughtful about it. And this new PM is bringing up some old concerns, and the same old arguments have been resurrected from their coffins
Mm,
for one single reason: because he's a nobleman. And it's not because what ideas he brings, what talent he brings, what vision he brings. The opposition is simply because he's a nobleman,
yeah.
right?
Well,
And to me,
and
that's
they
a weak,
yes.
weak, weak argument.
No, and they went even further. Then they're really microscoping his family ties and saying, this is why the thing." And then his sister being more the crown princess, and all of these. Then bringing up his mother being the granddaughter of Salo. Like, they're all like tarnishing, trying to make it these are bad links when a lot of it is positive and good links. He's put in a position to bring the average Tongan and the people of nobility all bring it together, and he's going to represent both sides, and that's not going to be easy because now he's going to he has more responsibility. People always think that being in a leader is going to be easy and going, and then you look at the last few terms, it's been internal chaos and no vote of confidence. He still has a lot of challenges and obstacles to go through, but to me it's just give them the man an opportunity. It's just lazy journalism to just say that it's going backward. And then not only that, the typical New Zealand journalism, then they focus on the most proactive democracies that want to go full democracy like New Zealand, those two Tongan individuals, and then get their views and put it out there for everybody. Not even getting a Tongan somebody who is on the different scale to give their opinion why
To
this is a
balance it
positive
out.
thing to
Yeah.
balance it out. It's controlling the narrative there, but yeah, that's my thoughts
No,
there.
and it's that this is going to be interesting. We'll see how this government goes. The
Yeah.
next thing I want to bring up is the King of Tonga recently rededicated Tonga to God, right?
Hikureo, let's go.
Higureo, right? And rededicated it to God. And this is a renewal of Tupo the First Tukufonua, right?
Mm.
Where he does the famous story is they're all meeting Tupo the First and all the
In
nobles
Vava'u, yeah,
in Wava,
yeah.
and they're saying, how are we going to protect Tonga? Some people say, oh, we should talk to England, we should talk to France,
Mm.
all these options. And Tupo the First says, nope, we're going to rely on God. That's the only person who can save. And that's where he dedicates his land, his country, and his people to
People.
God. And Tupo the Sixth uh, just did the exact same thing
Nice.
this month. I believe it was this month that he did it. So we're gonna listen to it in Tongan first, then we'll read. There's a good little translation of it here, but let's first listen to the dedicatory prayer first.
Ke tau whakafou, ai COVID-19 ke atonga, mo e o tua masu mafia. E kisi hova, kawawen mo kakai tonga. Mau uno ho ao, ke whakawhetai mo whakamalo atu, I he loto hounga mo oni. I ho tauhi mo malu I ki mautoro. Ne whaki atu e ho mautui, ta whahau tu pouruaki. Ke mautofi atu ki he awhiona. Koe tahai COVID-19 te whakariwai, ke mau hoko, ko kau taula e iki mo ti saipare. O whai mooni e tauhi ki he awhiona. Ke mau uki e tau tangata, mo e tūku I whanua, o hange e ko ia na e whai ho mau ruaki whaa. Ke ako, mo tui pi ki tai ki he alo, ko si sukalaisi, pe au ai auha atonga, koe masiwa ilo. To hifo mai mua, o lau maari e maoni oni he ahon, ke whakaivia ma kehe ki mautoro. Ke maulava tawhi, ho whikau he hongo fulu, ko e magatunga ho ngahi konistu tone, ma isleri, moha tangata. Mau kau whakataha mo Israeli, ko kakai na e whiri ko tofia. Ka koe tui o tonga, na ne whiri e ia e awhiona ko mau tofia.
Mm.
Ek Jehova, ko toi momo i atua tonga, ai kakai, kere mo e whanua kotoa. Tari mo ki mātou, e kui kai ha mātou e tauhi whalalaanga. Pe ha mātou e maluanga. Ka koe a Fiona pe, koho mātou fia. Iho huawha, si su kalais, ko whafou wai e toi tuku atu o tonga ki o awhio e o tua mas. Amen.
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 And can you see this text, Masi? Are you able to read this text?
Yeah, yeah, I can read it.
Go ahead and
Okay.
read it for us. This is the translation for the prayer at the bottom where it says, Lord God.
Okay, so here's the translation. Lord God, here I am with my people in Tonga. We bow in your presence to praise you and to thank you for a grateful heart for your care and protection. Our King, Taufahau, Xiaoxi Tupo the first, gave Tonga to you. God and Tonga are my inheritance, a Levite covenant, so that we become your faithful and dedicated priests and disciples. We are challenging the people of our day and the next generations. Let your Holy Spirit come down upon us today to empower us to keep your 10 commandments, which is the foundation of your instructions for Israel and mankind. We we are together with Israel, a people you chose to be your inheritance, but the king of Tonga chose you to be our inheritance. Lord God, I again I give to you Tonga, the people, the land, and the entire nation. Please accept us, for we have no trustworthy shepherd and refuge, but you only our inheritance. In the name of Jesus Christ, I renew the giving of Tonga to you, Lord Almighty. Amen.
Amen.
What's your
What's your
thoughts?
thoughts?
What's your
Oh,
thoughts?
yeah. I mean, what a great idea. What a great idea. I
Beautiful,
think,
beautiful idea.
yes, I think this is the type of vision and the type of leadership that's needed right now,
Mm,
right? Tonga's gotten a little bit too chaotic with we need more rights, we need more control over the government, we need more blah, 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 all that other stuff.
mm,
We need to go back to the basics. What makes Tonga Tonga? What is unique? What what is it that makes us different? And I think this is a very powerful statement of our religious perspective and our faith is the fundamental piece of Tonga, and
mm,
not just Tonga of now, but the Polynesian Empire as a whole. This
mm,
is a core principle of the empire, the political, the social, the administrative, but the highest power was always the spiritual and the faith
religious.
part,
Yep,
the
yep,
religious part
yep.
of it. So I thought that was really, really interesting. I did like one thing after I get your comments, I want to dive into he says a Levite covenant. I think that is very
Yeah.
interesting. And so I really enjoyed this, and I think this is a very interesting tone to set going into the
Mm,
new year because
mm,
Tonga needs this badly, in my opinion.
mm, mm. No, no, I was just going to say this is such a good launching pad for our prime minister designate, nobleman Fafanua. Like, this whole rededication of Tonga to God, and hopefully, with this there's a good launching pad to go off from to bring some leadership, some direction, and be able to lead with righteousness in a sense of when I say righteousness, in a sense of putting the people in the right place, feeling not obligated to owe anything to anyone, because you are putting the people in the right spot to elevate and empower Tonga to be a better Tonga for the future. So that's what I think here. It's an awesome prayer, and that's what I think for Lord Fakafanua. It's a good launching pad to go into with some new fresh ideas and blood, and it's good. Maybe get somebody younger to do all the heavy lifting, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of um, brain power, and there's gonna seem to be some politics coming his way, that it's gonna take some lot of energy to navigate and withstand. And and this prayer is just a good reminder of people as a whole, of our priorities, and if we have a priority that maybe we need to reshuffle or prioritize in our daily lives, this is a good reminder of what we need to do. Not just people within Tonga, but Tongans and Polynesians throughout the world, that we need to probably prioritize and remember our rich heritage. This is didn't come from thin air. This has
Nowhere.
come
Yeah.
from nowhere. This has been built for the ancient. I'm gonna call it the ancient times. Built from the
Mhm.
ancient times to now, and it's awesome to see that rededication and re-emphasize that it's still alive and well. Our connectedness to the divine power, and the divine power is, and the head of that divine power is God the Father. And what I really liked was the Israel was, God chose them to come through, born the Savior, but Tonga chose God the Father to be our inheritance, which is such an awesome line that the King Dupo the 6th spoke, which is very cool, because it's easy that God can choose to be a servant and you can see a yes or no, but I think it's a lot more difficult for a mortal person to choose, say, God, we choose you to be our shepherd, be the head. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
No, 100%. I do want to highlight this before we go to the next topic here real quick. And I think this is important because people, whether the king realizes or not, the use of the term Levitical or the Levite covenant
Mm,
is very, very interesting. Where he says the Levitical covenant, also called the covenant with Levi or priestly covenant, is a biblical covenant in the Old Testament where God establishes an everlasting priesthood with the tribe of Levi, particularly through Aaron's descendants as priests and the brother Levites as their assistants. The references: Numbers 25:10 through 13. God grants Phineas, Aaron's grandson, a covenant of perpetual priesthood for his zeal in stopping idolatry and making an atonement. This is a priesthood that don't need a laying on of hands. It's like an inheritance. So you receive this
okay.
priesthood by being a descendant of Aaron and Phineas. Malachi 2 verses 4 through 8.
So it's by blood. It's by
It's
blood.
by
You
blood.
have to you
Yes.
have to have by this by blood.
Malachi 2 4 through 8, God refers to my covenant with Levi as one of life and peace, where priests teach truth, walk in integrity, and turn people from sin, but rebukes later priests for corrupting it. Jeremiah 33:18 to 22 parallels it with the Davidic covenant, promising Levitical priests will always offer sacrifices. And then the last one in Nehemiah 13:29 mentions defiling the covenant of the priesthood and the Levites. I find it interesting because we take the claim that Hikuleo is who led the founding
Yeah.
fathers of Tangaloa, Maui, and Haamea, or the Taula to Tonga, and that is a religious slash, we could leverage the king's terms here, a Levitical covenant, and
Mm,
that is the same covenant that has been in Polynesia and in Tonga for over 3,000 years. So I thought that was kind of unique and interesting there.
no, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, did you want to go ahead into it and probably maybe further provide your breakdown on your
Yes.
perspective on some of the the things that came to your mind while this rededication was happening to
Yes.
Tonga? That'd be awesome to hear.
Yeah. So this segment we're gonna call the rebirth of ancient Polynesian government structure. So like we mentioned earlier, we're building towards something, right? We talked about the PM. We talked about this foreign idea of democracy and why we need to get rid of the PM and then the kings and the so forth. And then watching the king rededicate Tonga, which is a priestly, right? That's a priestly,
Mm,
that's a Levitical, a priestly prayer he's giving,
mm,
a priesthood
mm.
prayer on behalf of his people. Then it dawned that, is this really a new government? Is this really a foreign structure government that Tonga has today? Or is it really a rebirth of the traditional Tongan government systems? So, what I'm going to bring up is, let me see. Let me share a screen. I'm going to bring up something here, a window, and share this because I think this is important to kind of have as a reference. So we've shared this
Oh yeah.
before, right? So over here we have the Tuitonga,
Mm.
then that was pretty much had all religious, all political, all
Correct.
administrative power
Everything in
within
one.
everything. And really pushed a lot of the parliamentary type work, the daily affairs, to the Falefa, but ultimately the Tuitonga was directly involved in that. And the Falefa ran the government and the civilization. Then with Kaulu Fonua, he reorganizes the Falefa and creates the Tuihatakalaua. And the Tuihatakalaua is assigned the political, the administrative, the military power. That's
Mm,
who run the day-to-day affairs, and the Tuitonga maintains the religious, the priestly, right?
mm.
Or the religious power, which was the
Yeah.
higher and the greater and elevated power. Then later, the Tuikanukupolu is installed to do the same work that the Tuihatakalaua had, which is the day-to-day tasks,
Hmm.
right? So this is important context to have in mind. Then with Tupo the first, the last Tuitonga, who still has the priestly power, the religious influence, and the higher power, he does
Correct.
something miraculous. What does he do? He gives Tupo the fourth the Taumafakava, which is
Yes.
in a sense
Yes.
handing over this religious elevated power, this soft power
Mm,
of running and representing the people of Polynesia and Tonga to God, right?
mm.
That's what made the Tonga unique. He was kind of like an intermediary between God and the people and represented that connecting piece. He gives that to Tupo the first, and then Tupo the first establishes a Western government, right? A constitutional monarchy. And in that constitutional monarchy, what does he hand over to the PM? The running of the daily aspects of the government,
The
right?
daily affairs.
The daily affairs. And then it progresses to today, and you look at what just happened today. Tupo the
Mm.
sixth does not have ultimate control or influence power over the government. He's offering a priestly prayer,
Mm,
indirect power, and elevated
mm.
power. So in a sense, what kind of popped up to my mind in watching this is, we literally in many ways still have the same government structure that the
Of the ancient
Tuitonga
time.
has had for thousands of
Mm.
years. And this is why it's important, like you mentioned earlier, Masi. This is why it's important we understand our history, we understand where we come from, because this government, even though it has if you're coming as an outsider, you think it's, oh, this is a Western application of power, government structure. Tonga just folded and took on the Western political structure. But if you understand
Yeah.
Tongan history, this is literally a rebirth of the Tui Tonga, the Tui Hatakalawa, and the Tui Kanukupolu. And then what makes it even more ironic, the Tui Hatakalawa is now the king, right? And is leading. And then a member or a member of the Tui Hatakalawa family is now the prime minister, which is
Mm-hmm.
the same thing that happened with the Tui Tonga and the Tui Hatakalawa. Two brothers established these two powers, two closely related. One is to oversee the spiritual, one is to oversee the temporal and day to day. And I just thought, what a parallel from 2,000 years ago to today. We are still looking at the same structure. And wanted to get your thoughts on that, Mr. Ateroa, on what you think.
No, I think that's a great perspective that you picked up, Tua, and I'm happy that you shared it. So you're pretty much saying that the religious caretaker is the current Tupo family, which is Tupo the sixth, right? With his rededication of Tonga as like the priestly kind of, the religious caretaker, and then the prime minister being run as today are doing the pretty much the daily affairs with
Yes.
all the the running of the country. That's all of the let's just say the the Tui Hatagalawa and the Tui Kalupolu of those ancient times. That's what the prime minister role is having. And then you brought up a great point, because that's what Tonga, right? That's what Tonga has been doing from the ancient times. Always adapt so that you can survive, because the more you can adapt and pivot quickness, and then you take certain structures or things that can help move on to the next phase of the changing world that we're living in. You find, like what you said, to the structure is still the same of the ancient time. It's just with different names. I think Maui Tegelangi has shared that. It's just we've changed with different names, with the environment and some of the surroundings have changed, but the whole structure and the responsibilities are still the same, even up to even up to today. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and
So
that's something that we can learn a lot from, is if you understand who you are at the core, you can make the adjustments around the branches, right?
yeah,
But the root,
yeah,
because you understand your root, fundamentally you haven't changed. Even though
mm,
the perception can be from the outside, well, you used to have 10 branches, now you have 7. Well, yeah,
yeah,
because a storm came, and if I had 10 branches, I could have blown over and died, but I shed 3 of them so that I could have less resistance from the storm and that my roots could hold me. But the root and the core is the same, right?
mm,
Like, what really was interesting to me is Tonga fundamentally hasn't changed. That's
yeah,
that's what kind of shocked me, is fundamentally we are the same core, the same structure of having a elevated priestly king,
mm,
having a king who a kingly role that takes care of the administrative, the political, and the daily, and then you have the nobility and the people underneath that. And this is a powerful thing. One could make the argument this is what makes us different. This is what
mm,
separates us from New Zealand and Australia and everyone else. So why would we want to give that up just to be someone else? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's like you grew up your whole life, you knew who you are, you know your family, you know your duty and your responsibility, and you give that up to go to pretend that you're something that you're not, and you're just
mm,
going to throw it away. I could almost guarantee you will not find happiness. You are not going to find fulfillment, because you are sacrificing who you are as a core for someone's idea of what you should be that you will never achieve. And Tonga needs to realize that. They need to understand what makes us special, what makes us unique. And we can make adjustments, like you said, mono pe. Here,
Yeah.
there, make adjustments, but don't forget the core. If you get rid of the
Yeah.
core, and right now, I think it's safe to say with what you said, Masi, the core is the Tongan Constitution, because the Tongan Constitution is what is holding, it is
Mm.
what has given a modern structure to our ancient way of life and our ancient structure. And
Yeah.
it's been going on for thousands of years.
Mm. No. Awesome. Awesome. Great perspective, Tua. And then did that come in, that's the thing. Did that come into your mind when you watched it, or did you like
Yeah.
after you watch
I,
it and then like over time you're like, dude,
I
this is
was
just another interesting parallel that I've just come
it,
up
it
with.
was when because I was putting the program together yesterday and today, and it was after I watched Tupo the Sixth give his prayer, and
Mm.
I thought, what is going on here? I said, this is
Mm.
great. And then all of a sudden it came to my mind. It's like, this is exactly what our ancestors have been doing for thousands of
Thousands
years,
of yeah, yeah.
right?
That's
And
what you,
and
yep.
and what makes it amazing is, even if we go more democratic, but we keep the king and the constitution, it still maintains the core framework of this,
Mm.
right? This core
Mm.
framework doesn't change. You notice right here, this was the core
Mm.
right here of the government,
Mm.
religious day to day. Then it was restructured to this structure, very
Mm.
similar to the Tuitonga with a Farefa and everything. Then
Yep.
it was restructured to this, right?
Mhm.
And then with Tupo the first, it's restructured to this. And the priestly responsibilities has always remained, and a day-to-day affairs responsibility has always remained.
Mm.
It's
So,
literally the same pattern over and over.
mm. So you know how you brought up a comment if we applied more democracy principles, do you have any ideas what you think you wanted to see things maybe further democratized? Any
You
ideas
know,
that you think of now?
yeah, you know my biggest idea, when
What's that?
democracy speaks, accept it as democracy. Like right now, like what happened now?
Yeah. Uh,
Nothing is more democratic than when democracy chooses its leader to say, we respect the choice of the people. That's the only
mm,
change. The only change I would ask people that really matters. The only change that really matters is when democracy is executed, like it was just done in this last election,
uh,
then don't come out and say it's not democratic enough when it was democracy. That's the only change I would ask people to say. Is like,
okay.
did the people vote for their representatives? Yeah. Do the representatives hold the power in parliament?
Mm,
Check. Did those people vote in favor of this prime minister? Check. What else are you looking for? What else are you looking for? To me,
mm,
I just feel like that's the only change I would make, is accept democracy when democracy happens. And I think it's already happened. So
nice.
though that's kind of it. I just thought that's something that I think as a people we need to recognize, and not just the West or the academic says we are not democratic enough, or we need to do more change. I think we've done pretty good for a couple thousand years, right? What I'm seeing here, what I'm saying is, the current Tongan structure of the government,
Mm,
we may think it started with Tupo the first, but
mm,
really what it is, this is something that's 2,000 years plus, is a proven system. Let's not throw it away. Let's not throw it away. Let's keep it. Let's make the monos on the side and so forth, but let's keep the core.
Yes, sir. That's the foundation. Like what you said, Tua, when we have the foundation, easy to adapt, and we can prune and stuff, and make branches grow a different way, but the root can always stay the same.
Yep. No, 100%. Looks like I have to step away here real quick, Masi, but we got through the core of the program. We were going to look at some comments on Facebook
Mm.
because our Facebook, believe it or not, is going to be over 1.5 million views on our Facebook pages.
Idea.
So we wanted to kind of hopefully take some time to kind of answer some of the comments on Facebook, but we're gonna come to it in the future. Closing comments, closing thoughts, Mr. Atearoa, and we'll close out the live for today.
Closing comments. Awesome, awesome. That's my first time seeing the I've seen a piece of it, but didn't hear the whole thing. Tua, it was awesome to discuss it, be reminded, and I really enjoy the rededication prayer by Tupo the six. Also wish Fafanua on his responsibility of being the lead on the daily operation of Tonga so that things can run smoothly for our kingdom and everyone that comes to the kingdom in the Tongan diaspora throughout the world. That's we can have a Tonga that is healthy, prosperous, and uh, a Tonga that everyone can be proud of. And just like the ancient times, I love how you brought those parallels to the ancient times of that knowledge and the ancient times of how we do things is still very alive today, which is very awesome. And that's the same practice we need to maintain because, like what you said, it's the same practice that's brought us here to navigate colonization, navigate the let's just say the globalization of how many people function in today that we can make ourselves still unique because we are a small island in the Pacific, but we are also unique because of because of the great achievements we've done throughout history, even until till now, especially being indigenous native people from the beginning that we can still control our destiny. That's so awesome that not many indigenous native people can say, and it's something that all Polynesians can be proud of. And yeah, those are my closing comments. I'm very grateful and thankful for all the viewers' comments and discussions. We always get comments here and there from our viewers. Always appreciate their attentiveness to the live digital kava sessions on our episodes all the time and sharing their views. Appreciate all the our viewers throughout the world. And yeah, that's me, Tua. Malo.
Malo, Masi, echo everything you said. Really, well, we want everybody to, on an individual level, spend the time to find out who you are at your core, right? Obviously, we come from a religious background. We believe at our core we are children of God and that our relationship with our God is fundamental to who we are so that we can navigate this crazy world and not lose ourselves in the world because we know who we are at the core.
Mm,
On a national level for Tonga, to do the same thing. Know who we are as a people, understand our history, how our history is core to who we are, how we got here today, and not to deviate too far from that or forget that we get lost in the modern globalization,
mm,
like you said.
mm,
But look at what Tupo the sixth did, where really he's functioning the same role as the Tuitonga, the religious lead, the spiritual guide, and conscious.
mm,
He's setting a great example, and that the government today is functioning as the Tui Hatakalawa and the Tui Kanukupolu, taking care of the daily affairs, and to realize That is the strength of our people, that we have not changed our government structure for thousands of years. And don't throw that away just because some academic or some person who doesn't understand our history, who doesn't appreciate it, who doesn't know who we are as a core, tells us we need to be, quote unquote, more democratic just because of their academic and their lack of understanding of who we are as a people. And really, that's the invitation today. And we close it out like we do every time.
Yes,
Be
sir.
bold. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions, and always, always stay curious. Till next time. Peace.
Hello.
Mahalo.